Hey guys, I'm back. Sorry for the long hiatus. I've been really busy with work, and even though I've gotten some really cool gear lately, I haven't had a chance to circle back and show you any of it. But that changes today. I'm going to show you my new Sigma 35mm f1.2 DGDN lens. This is one of the new Sigma lenses designed specifically for mirrorless cameras. It's available now in L mount and Sony E mount. Again, the advantages of mirrorless manifest themselves a lot on the wider end of lens design. When you're able to make advantage of that short flange distance between the back of the mount and the sensor, you can design wider angle lenses that have better cross-frame performance. And you can tell by the size of this lens that's designed really as a no-compromise lens with as strong as possible optics, regardless of size and weight. I mean, this is a big heavy lens. You can see here it's pretty much the same size as my Panasonic 50mm f1.2, but despite the large size, it handles well. You can see that the way the lens is shaped on the barrel, it gives you plenty of room to get your fingers in there. You get a really nice big aperture ring here. A nice trick it has is you can flip the switch to off from on to off, and then your aperture becomes stepless, which would really be nice in video shooting. Yeah, it rotates very smoothly. The build quality in this lens is fantastic. It's made in Japan. It's almost completely metal. It has this band here that's thermally stable composite, basically, polycarbonate plastic, but that's on pretty much all the high-end Sigma lenses. The rest of it's metal. Has a huge 82mm filter thread, so filters for this lens are going to be relatively expensive, but that just comes with the territory with lenses like this. So let's, not really much to say about build quality. It's fantastic. Let's get into the optics of it. Actually, before that, let's talk about the mechanics. Let's talk about the autofocus on this lens. So this lens uses the HSM, the hypersonic motor technology that Sigma uses in their other high-end lenses. But this does not use the linear motor, the stepper motor. Basically what I'm trying to say is the autofocus is not as good as it is on the dedicated S Pro Panasonic Lumix lenses like the 50mm f1.4. That lens, my 51.4 focus, is quieter and much quicker. It seems like it's driving a lot less glass, even though it's not. It uses several linear motors on the 51.4 to give it a really quick, snappy response. It's still fast, but it's kind of clunky. Like you can hear it go make some noise and you can actually feel it vibrating. And when you're using continuous autofocus shooting video with this lens, it will chatter. It will visibly go. The first time I heard it, I thought something was wrong until I realized that, oh, it's on continuous autofocus. That's probably why. And yeah, the focus motor on this lens is just not set up for video, and kind of as a unfortunate side effect of that, the continuous autofocus performance with this lens is not as good as you're going to get from the Panasonic Lumix lenses. I shot a little bit of action with this lens, this guy on a scooter coming towards me, and like one shot out of 10 was in focus, then it just completely lost it. And a lot of people have strong opinions on the Lumix autofocus, continuous autofocus, but it really is much better with my native 50mm 1.4 than it is with this lens. So again, build quality's fine. Mechanically, the autofocus is good, but it's not at the level of the 50mm 1.4, unfortunately. Now let's go into optics. So if you're getting this lens over the Sigma 35mm f1.4, you're spending like twice as much money. You've got a lens that's about twice the size and weight. So you've got to be getting more than just an extra, third of a stop, half of a stop aperture. I think it's half a stop. You've got to be getting more than just a little bit more lens speed. So every review I've seen of this lens where they compare them, this does get you sharper corners, it does get you better overall performance. But what it does not give you is perfection. Now, this, again, there is a reason the Panasonic 50mm 1.4 launched as a $2,500 lens. It really is that good. I can shoot with that lens all day long at 1.4 and never see a hint of purple fringing or chromatic aberration. Unfortunately, the Sigma lens is not immune from that, and that's even with the corrections turned on in Lightroom. Shooting at 1.4 really to even 1.4, even to like f2.5 or 2.8, you'll always see just a little bit of that purple fringing on your specular highlights. It's not terrible, but it just goes to show that even though this lens was designed to such a high standard, and it's big, it's heavy, it's expensive, it's still not perfect. It doesn't achieve that just out of this world bar that the 51.4 gets you. But it won't really get in your way. It's just something to be aware of. If you're going to shoot this lens a lot at 1.2, don't be shocked when you see a little bit of that purple fringing, and I'll have plenty of examples to show you at the end of this video. But aside from that, this lens really knocks my socks off, because even though it's so sharp across the frame, you get really smooth, really beautiful bokeh, and even though I have a 35 and a 50, they have different use cases. I can use the 35 in more intimate settings, and it's a lot more useful indoors when you don't have as much room to step back. But really, shots like this, where I mean you're close up to the subject, it really gives you like an in-your-face feel. But it's I mean, a lot of people just love shooting with a 35 for this reason, and I think the 1.2 just magnifies that magic of this focal length. You can see this shot here with Izzy walking towards me. I mean, she looks like she's stepping out of the picture. So it really does give me some special shots like this, and I'm going to give you a full gallery soon when I finish this review. But just in summary, Sigma lenses are very interesting, and they're always trying to set a high bar, and this lens is no exception. It really is, in my opinion, the best 35mm lens you can buy these days. If you have a new mirrorless camera, the Sony Alpha or the Panasonic S series, you get weather sealing on this lens. You get a brand new clean sheet made for mirrorless design. So it really is compelling in that way, and really for the performance you're getting, the price is not unreasonable in my opinion. So yeah, in summary, the build is great, the mechanics are pretty good, the autofocus isn't quite as good as you'll get with the native Panasonic Lumix S Pro lenses, but it's not bad. Continuous autofocus and video and stills is pretty weak, so do not buy this lens for that purpose. Going into picture quality, you'll have a little bit of that purple fringing at wide apertures, but aside from that one blemish, there's nothing to complain about. Sharpness is phenomenal, bokeh is phenomenal. You know, if uncorrected raw, you'll have a little bit of distortion in vignetting, but you know that's all easily corrected. So really a good lens, a very fun lens to shoot with in my collection. And when I take shots with this lens, I can flip through and I can immediately pick out which ones I take with this and which ones I take with my 51.4. So that's pretty special that it has that property despite being pretty close in focal length. So let's go ahead and launch into that gallery, and again, thank you all for watching. I'll try to get more in the swing of things now that I have a little bit of time off towards the holidays and do some more videos for you. Alright, take care, I'll see you next time. Oh yeah, one more thing. So I'm shooting this video on my Panasonic G9 with the new, I think it's 2.0 firmware update. That gets you internal 10-bit 422 just like the GH5. So kudos to Panasonic for really giving this camera a shot in the arm. It really is cool being able to do that degree of manipulation to these videos now. You can play with the shadows and highlights a lot more. It really looks good, and I applaud Panasonic for giving the G9 the video capabilities that it really should have had from the beginning. So now when I shoot the G9 and my S1 together, I have 422 10-bit on each one. They merge together well. So If you saw a difference in the quality of this video, maybe that's why. Alright, bye-bye.